Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes Roll. Well, it could be morning, it could be night. Whenever you watch it, have a good day. Okay, current blood sugar is sitting at 7.8, which is actually 8.4, because I just did a finger prick. Fully calibrated, I have 1.2 units of active insulin. Okay, correction. I was pretty stable throughout the night. Only had a few corrections here or there. Otherwise, pretty stable. And I've woken up feeling pretty good. So that's all important. So, all in all, good numbers. Well, we know that I've had a little bit of problems working with time and range. The time and range for today is at 91%, while 6% is above 10%, 91% was in range, but here 3% is below 3.9. This is something we really have to work on today, okay? Average sugar is 7.3. Now that number is much better than it has been. This number, however, what am I going to do? I'm going to watch. I'm going to be more proactive when reporting my lows. Yesterday I did go down to 3.9. Now, 3% represents 45 minutes. So for 45 minutes, I was below 3.9. Now for me, I could drop even worse. I don't want this number to get any higher. In fact, according to my diabetic nurse, we wanted it 0. Imagine that. So this number is perfectly fine. My doctor would be hip and all for it. Today's topic is another control day 2025, but we're going to discuss supplies. So sit back, relax, and let's get going. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Okay, control day. Control day is a day I have selected where we can help you get ahead in your diabetes control. If you take a look at our playlist, we have a number of videos coming due that are all part of the 2025 playlist. So today we're going to discuss supplies. What sort of supplies do you really need? And how do we accomplish getting those supplies? Now, some of my American diabetic friends would say that we are kind of special here because we have socialized medicine and we can get our supplies as need be. I can remember my sister at one time was dating this guy who ended up to be a creep, but was dating this guy, and he said, "Oh well, you're just hooked on insulin." And at that point, I just didn't have a comeback. Now, thinking back on it, but we all know 2020 hindsight is we're all hooked on insulin. You just produce your own. But that's mindset. Supplies. First of all, you're going to have to take a look at, if it pump, do you have your pump supplies? If it's needles, needles or syringes, do you have syringes? Do you have your pens? Do you have your pen filled? And do you have the insulin required? There's so much that goes into it. Now, this is not the time to say, hey, I'm going to go on an insulin pump and we're going to try it, and I'm going to do May or March 17th control day, and we're going to go and start it on that day. Changing what you're doing to start something new on that day is not the best. Ideally, you want to be in some sort of control before you start any new program. But this should be discussed with your doctor. First of all, how are you going to maintain your supplies? In British Columbia, we have a pharmacare. All Canadian provinces have it. We supply it through our taxes. It's our medical insurance. I can go to the drugstore and ask for certain list of drugs which are covered. It's not only diabetes, but diabetes supplies encompass. There may be a deduction we have to meet before we get fully covered, but that's here or there. I don't want you to feel that you have to go out and buy out the whole pharmacy for your diabetes control. No. What I am trying to say is you have to make sure you have enough to cover a month at least. And how are you going to make sure you get your supplies? Doesn't matter if you're in Canada or the US. In the US, you're pretty well dealing with private insurance companies. In Canada, you're dealing with the health regions. That's pretty much the only difference. But you want to make sure that you have enough supplies so that you're not reusing needles, that you're not putting yourself at risk. Well, is it kind of reusing needles and that putting yourself at risk? Many diabetics will argue the point. Oh, I could reuse needles, blah, blah, blah. What you want to do, if you're using syringes, you want to make sure you have enough supply that will cover one injection per syringe. You want to make sure you have enough insulin so that you are not having to shrimp and save on insulin. Because it's important to remember your health is not worth negotiating. People seem to think, oh well, you have enough insulin and that's it. You should not be hoarding insulin, but on the other hand, you should have enough to cover your needs. Cover your needs and then an extra bottle just to have as a buffer. Now, I can say that being a diabetic up here in Canada where things are covered. You may not be so lucky, but you have to deal with your own areas. Ensure that you deal with things accurately and have realistic goals. So for myself, I've told you how I've ordered in supplies and have a little bit extra. Every month I get an order from my pump company in which I have tubing, I have reservoirs, everything I need for the pump, blood testing supplies. So I shouldn't run out for that month. And so far it's worked. You can deal directly with your pump manufacturer. It used to be you had to go to the drugstore, and the drugstore sometimes would have it in stock or not. You had to go and you had to search around, and things just didn't work that well. However, the way you deliver your insulin, make sure you have enough to maintain the level of health. Discuss with your doctor, discuss with your diabetic nurse or clinic. Make sure you are going to be getting the supplies you need. Whether it's talking to your insurance company in the States and saying, this is how much my doctor has prescribed, I need this. Well, you can only have blah, 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 blah. This really irks me when people try to put limits on my health. I have fought for it. Example, my care revolves around the pump. In the province I live in, the government said they were going to supply the tubing, and reservoirs were fine, test strips were fine, but when it came to the sensors to go with the pump, they acted like that was a luxury. And I said no, and I went and I fought so that I could have sensors. Now, if you're going to go through, make sure you get all the supplies you need. You have to put it in your mind that you are physically going to be doing the program you and your doctor have chosen. Make sure that you A, have supplies, B, you're utilizing the supplies. Now remember, as you first start doing control, you're not going to be great at it. You may think, oh yes, I'll just start doing everything and everything will fall into place. Chances are, you're probably going to feel like crap for the first time, especially if your blood sugars have been higher. As your blood sugars have been higher, your body's been used to acting that way. And as you bring your blood sugars down, your body may feel and say, I'm low. I need food, because it's trying to get back to where it was the most comfortable. That too will pass. Once you bring your blood sugars down, you will start feeling better. The way I feel now, based on how I felt as a 20-year-old, is like night and day. And it's important that you realize this. Don't Don't sell yourself short, but again, get the supplies that you need to cover for the month. And then look for ongoing ways to make sure you're not living without the vital liquid you need and the supplies to deliver it. In the States, and I don't understand their system, but I believe there's Medicaid and Medicare, and for those who are who can't provide for themselves medically. In Canada, it's universal pharmacare. In BC, that's what we're calling it. So, be alert, know the supplies you need, talk it over with your doctor, your diabetes education center, and find out what they feel you should be having. They're probably the best bet. And with that, I want to review. Make sure you know how much supplies you need to make sure you're going to be able to get the control. If you've been using one syringe for your shot and you're doing 4 shots a day, and you work that syringe till you can't get it anymore, that's putting you at risk. And part of being in control is you're not putting yourself at risk. Make sure your supply lines are in place. Deal with a drugstore that can supply you with the items you need. If they're always out of diabetic supplies, you may need to take a look at a different drugstore. Utilize what you've bought. I told you a story about my sensors now. I get my sensors now, but I make sure I utilize them. Every week I have a new sensor, and that is vitally important. Remember that. So, supplies, make sure you have enough. Utilize the supplies. Speak to your doctor on an ongoing basis about how much supplies you need. It's an ongoing process. And with that, I hope you're having a super day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. My next vlog topic will be Hey, Mike just stepping in here just to let you know tomorrow's video is going to be patient with you. Could be an interesting video. Hope to see you there. Sit back, get your coffee ready for tomorrow, and we'll be right back. Have a great day. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.